Marshall skips away. Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing.
Bennett and the Dragons win the grand final.
Whips that one away, and Kane Williamson and his team now World Test champions.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the TGIF podcast. Thank God it's footy. I'm back here again with the bro for another week. Nat, how was your week, my friend?
Yeah, g'day listeners, good to be back again as always. Yeah, good week. We've had some lovely weather up here in Tamaki Makaurau. We've had a bit of sun. Obviously Sunday was a little bit yuck over the weekend, but Friday and Saturday, some healthy sun out there, good for golf, and got a couple of swims in. You got yourself in for your first swim of the season?
Yeah, good to get in the water for the first swim of the season there on Friday afternoon. And yeah, I didn't do the usual old 20 seconds in and out, straight back up the hill. Stayed in there for a bit of a bathe, I suppose. It was a bit of a frolic around in the shallows there as you boys swam out deep.
Always got to get your long end.
It was lovely.
You got to be the longest person out at the beach, unless there's anyone out there doing any hectic ocean swimming. But if you can say you've been the furthest out of the beach, you know you've had a good swim. We met a lovely old couple down there at the beach. Sort of as we were there, just as we were getting in. Sort of said that they get down there every day when they can, when the tide's in, down at Narrowneck. Shout out to anyone who swims down at Narrowneck. A lovely place to be when it's a nice calm day. And sort of said to them as we were leaving, you know, we'll probably see you tomorrow then when the tide's in. It was sort of good timing over the weekend, about 5-6 o'clock in the evening, and lo and behold, as we're exiting the water on Saturday, who is it that's heading on in, entering? And it's the lovely old couple. So, hey, if you're listening, I highly doubt it, but if you're listening, shout out to you two. So, hopefully we'll see you down there again the next time that the tides align.
Reach out and we'll go for a swim.
Yeah, we'll have another swim together and talk about how the water's getting a bit warmer, I guess. But I guess it's enough bullshit about us. We'll have a look at a bit of the sporting world, and I guess the first thing you got to look at is a bit of a shout out, a bit of congratulations to the ladies, the Black Ferns, for reaching the final of the Rugby World Cup. How good!
Exactly. Yeah, well done, ladies. Looked like a hectic semi-final up against the French there. Bit of a lead, first half lead for the French, and a second half comeback for the Black Ferns.
Was it 25-24?
Yeah, just to hold on by the 1 point in the end, and oh well, doesn't matter how you win a semi-final, just that you win a semi-final. And the girls are through to defend the title at good old Fortress Eden Park, up against the English, who, yeah, they're a pretty strong side, but up against the Canadians, it was a close run thing in their semi-final, which we were saying earlier in the week.
Yeah, Canada.
It's quite a weird one. Didn't know they were so strong in the women's rugby game, but there they are, making a semi and running England pretty much the whole way there. So
I didn't have a clue that Canada were up there in terms of women's rugby. You know, it's been awesome over the last few weeks and the different World Cups that we've had on, a few different countries getting involved, and I think it's awesome. But like you said, up against the English, and it's going to be a good one. I think I saw something, 900,000 people tuned in on the free-to-air coverage on TV3 for the semi-final. And you're probably surely you're looking north of 1 million then for the final. I'd like to say I've got to say I didn't tune in for the semi, but I think I'll have to be tuning in there on Saturday night and giving it a watch. It's going to be an awesome game, and the ladies deserve our support, and they'll be wanting everyone to get behind them. So it'll be awesome. But speaking of finals, now I don't know how many of you out there are heavy supporters of the Argentinian football leagues. but they had their cup final and it was ended early based on too many red cards. Now, I think the final score when it ended early was 2-1, I believe. But what was it? How many red cards was it in total? 10?
10 red cards. 7 for Boca there, including 2 for players not on the pitch. And yeah, obviously if you're going down to less than 7 on the pitch at any given time, you automatically lose. So, pretty hectic there.
Yeah, I think it
must
was.
have been some kerfuffles and
some shit must have gone down at the end of the game, because when I had a little look on the BBC article there, and it was like, I think they had 5 or 6 red cards that all came out after extra time had finished, possibly, or not after it had finished, but in the added time as such. I think the last red card came in at like the 120th plus 7 minutes or something along those lines. But yeah, really gnarly. So the Black Ferns ladies, hopefully we don't see anything like that in the Rugby World Cup final. We don't want any red cards in that, fingers crossed. But yeah, something you think you've got some full-on derbies in English football or in other areas of Europe. Birmingham and Villa, you've got Celtic, Rangers, Arsenal and Tottenham, the El Clasico, you've got all sorts. The list goes on, but that's pretty full on over there in Argentina. So yeah, fingers crossed we don't have anything like that for us this Saturday.
No, Argentinian, South American football can tend to be quite hectic. Let's hope we don't see anything as hectic on Saturday night for the ladies there, and they can bring us a bit of national glory. Nothing we love here at TGIF more than a bit of national glory. Speaking of national glory, seems like rugby league fans in Auckland have been stepping it up a notch in the last couple of weeks. We've been seeing rugby league fever sweep the city. Seen the Samoan and Tongan flags out in force. A couple of late night gatherings being shut down by police there, and seems like we're loving getting into the business end of that tournament. All cultivated by that brilliant Samoa versus Tonga quarter-final there.
Yeah, I mean it's been all on. Obviously, there's been like you said, a couple of things that have had to be shut down. The fans are sort of out there in full force, and yeah, it's all come from this big game here, Tonga versus Samoa. And obviously, we spoke, must have been a few weeks ago, about how when we've seen Tonga play there at Mount Smart, the amount of flags and that street that you go down when you walk into Mount Smart. I think there's 2 or 3 houses that are fully painted in red. There's about 50 to 60 flags out there, and it's just awesome to see. But I guess this time around it's Samoa's turn to have a bit of glory, have a bit of a celebration. I saw something on a locals page the other day telling everyone to get down to the local rugby club and bring your bikes, bring your sirens, make some noise and have a celebration. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what colour you are, what gender you are. Come on down and make some noise for the Pacifica Brothers making the semi-finals. So I think it's awesome. We might have to tone it down a little bit, possibly. Who knows what it will be like if they can get past England this weekend and make the final.
Oh yeah, I think it's fair to say we love a bit of ripping and tearing, particularly when it comes to rugby league and supporting a team, but obviously with the time difference it's hard to do it in line with the games and keep everybody happy in the middle of the night, particularly on a Sunday morning going into Sunday night going into Monday morning there. But look, like I said, rugby league fever, it's sweeping the city. We're halfway across, we're on the other side of the world from the Rugby League World Cup, and it's it's good to see. But speaking of rugby league, some news coming out of your West Tigers. A new signing, Will Smith, Give us your thoughts.
See, when I first saw it, the first thing that I'd seen was on Facebook and a West Tigers group page, and most of the people in there were sort of saying that it could be a peachy 2.0, and I'm hoping it's nothing of the sorts. He's shown in stages that he can play some good footy, and obviously Sheensy's got his reasons as to why he signed him. So I'm hoping he can come on in and do the job, but kind of not really the caliber of player I was sort of hoping we're bringing in. Especially if you're looking at the news and seeing that we're possibly not offering Hastings a new contract here.
Yeah, look, this one, I've seen this one across my Instagram throughout the week. Seems bizarre to me. Look, I think Jackson Hastings was one of, if not your best player last season. Brooks has been struggling for form for a couple of years, since that breakthrough season where he won the Dally M half of the year, and it seemed to me that the future for the West Tigers maybe lay elsewhere, and same for Brooks, but it seems it's Benji and Sheensy's side, I suppose. They've seen him come through as a junior. They've watched pretty much most of his career, either playing alongside him or coaching, or I'm sure as a fan of the West Tigers in some shape or form. And yeah, it seems like they're going with Brooks, and the other man that he's going to have to go into the side based on his performances, I think, and the Rugby League World Cup there for Lebanon, Adam Dewey. He's a big, strong running six, and he can pretty much do it all with the ball. So I think he would have locked down a number 6 jumper there for the Wests.
Yeah, I think he has to be playing in the 6.
So it's really up to who's going to be 7 out of Brooks and Hastings.
Yeah, he's got to be there playing in the 6. Like you said, it's pretty much down to whoever you want to be playing alongside him, whether it's Brooks or whether it's Hastings. And I think when you look at last year, the impact that Hastings had when he was on the field, I think it's hard to go past him. So I'd love to see him get a new deal. Obviously still on the books there for next year. But I guess maybe Sheensy wants to see how next year goes, and whether or not he can do the job. But I think most Tigers fans and most league fans in general would have seen what he did last year and know the impact that he can do. So I'll be crossing my fingers that that's something can change. But if that's the way that Sheensy wants to go, then I guess the Tigers fans are going to have to get behind it.
Absolutely. He's a veteran campaigner, old Sheensy. He knows what he's doing with a footy side. His record speaks for himself, and yeah, Benji, he knows all about a quality number 7, a quality number 6. I'm sure he can get the best out of Brooks and Dewey there, and who knows? Like you said, West fans, get behind your lads. That's probably enough bad news. Apart from, me going 0 from 3 on my punts throughout the week, my tips for you last week, punters, but sitting across from me, the man here, he's finally off the mark. So, hopefully that's us. The punting gods are on side, and we'll be dripping in value in units for a wee while.
We're rich, lads. We're rich. We've got ourselves in the money now. As I said last week, I was going up for a slightly different tactic. I was going nice and easy. I've been going for the big fish all season, all year round, and it was time for me to go easy, to try and get a little bit of money in the kitty, and we did. Now, obviously, for our first bet, we got a little bit of drums going. We got a little bit of Sanga Steve action going. I don't know if this is worthy. It was just a nice Arsenal to win. But $2.65 coming in hot. It's a win. Now, whether or not you're putting on $1, whether you're putting on $10,000, whether you're putting the house on that, you're coming away with a bit of profit, and that's the main thing. So something to work from, which is what we're after, and we look to build on from here. Hopefully this week we can wrangle a little bit more money out of the punting gods, and hey, it's as we said last week, it's only up. We're starting the ascent, and fingers crossed, yeah, we can whip another one out there for your punters. But I guess we should probably have a little bit of a look at the week that was in terms of the rugby league.
Absolutely.
Start off with that Kiwis game, I guess.
Yes, what a game that was. I mean, look, before we get into the footy, I just want to say one or two things here. Firstly in this game, and secondly in the Samoan Tongan game. But how good is it when you have that, Pacifica, First Nations displays of culture and passion. Firstly in this game, with the Fijian hymn, and then obviously the New Zealand haka. It's awesome to see.
Yeah.
It's just one of the reasons why you just got to love rugby league.
Yeah, there's been some awesome showings of different cultures throughout, and it's awesome to see. There's plenty of different cultures that are involved in rugby league, and it's just been great that we've had the chance to see it in action over the last few weeks, and like you said, especially a few of these Pacifica nations. Really, really cool to see, and you get a bit of goosebumps when you see it on TV quite often. So it's nice, like you said, it was a nice thing to have before the game there.
Yeah, it's a good way to describe it. It gives you goosebumps. Makes you really, really excited to watch a game of footy, and into the footy. Look, I think, was it appropriate that this one fell on Guy Fawkes night in the UK? Possibly for the Fijians there in the first half. Look, from our point of view, wasn't the best of first halves. We gave away a few too many 6 agains, a few too many penalties, which proved to be costly in the end, with Sivo crossing first and then Nagama getting a try there second off a beautiful line, which he ran, and a great little ball from Brandon Wakeham, I believe, to find him, and then Fiji go into the break in the lead, and deservedly so.
Deservedly so, like you said, 12-0 up at one stage there, and a lot of Kiwis fans, like we said last week, it was a nervous one, probably thinking, hey, shit, is this a bit of a repeat on our hands? Are we going to have a little bit of a repeat of what happened last time? We lost 6-2 last time. They were 12-0 up. It could have been a lot worse. And then, like you said, going in at the break, leading, I think it was 12-6 there by half time. And, I think Fiji probably would have been pretty pleased with the way that first half had gone. Like you said, a couple of 6 agains, few errors there. Probably pretty happy with how they'd kept the Kiwis out of that game. And I think for us Kiwi fans, we were probably sitting there thinking, shit, we're going to need something here in the second half to turn this around.
Exactly what I was thinking. And then Fiji come out and go and score first in that second half there. Another great little move from Nagama to catch Dylan Brown, maybe a bit lazy at marker there. But, Nagama, excellent work to recognise it, go down the short side and score. But
he had a great game. I thought played really well and managed to get that second try for himself there, and the first try there at the second half, and probably for a lot of Fijian fans probably put themselves into a position where they thought that they'd be making their way into the semi-finals. But I think when you look at the two sides on paper, the experience in the big games, I think maybe a little bit of that got us over the line there in the end, and a little bit of luck possibly sprinkled in there as well.
Yeah, look, after that Nagama try, you possibly did see the experience there onwards from the 50-minute mark. The Kiwis a lot more solid in defence from that there on, and perhaps wearing Fiji down with a few more better moves on attack, but we were pretty bloody lucky, as you say, to get that strip call for the late penalty to go ahead there, because while we were better in the second half, we were still struggling for tries up against a valiant Fiji side there. I thought our back three were very, very good, all three of them. Huge in helping us claw our way back. Quite good in the forwards. I'm not too worried about that. I think it was more of a shock in the first half. Maybe a bit of complacency from our lads, but second half I'm pretty happy with what I saw on the forwards. But again, a bit clunky in the backs, and yeah, shout out to the whole Fijian side really. What a game. We knew it would be tough, but yeah, they really brought some of their best footy on the day, and fuck, nearly had us there. Nearly had us.
Definitely a shock. Obviously we knew that they could do it against us, and I think as they keep gaining more NRL experience and more exposure, and there's a couple of these players in this Fijian squad, I think, that have had quite a bit of exposure throughout this World Cup, and as bigger teams start calling, we know they are going to get a bit more NRL experience, and it's only going to help them. And I think we'll see a little bit more of Fiji, I guess, in terms of international rugby league. And it's nice to see that we had three of the Pacific nations there making knockout footy, which is really cool.
You could
yeah,
chuck us and PNG in there if you want.
Yeah, I guess
Aussie involved, I suppose, in the Pacific. So yeah, it's definitely a South Pacific game.
But yeah, it's cool to see, and yeah, I think as they get a bit more experience, we're only going to see Fiji, try and push these bigger teams like New Zealand, Australia, and England, and try and make it that step further, make it to the semi-final, make it to the final, and it'd be awesome to see, I reckon.
Yeah, that would be awesome to see. Look, we spoke in depth already about Nagama and how good he was, but I think one player who staked a really good claim there for man of the match was Taruva at the back there for Fiji. He had himself a fucking game and a half there. Look, we did say that Charlie Staines moves to Wests for a bit more game time. He'd find it hard to usurp Edwards there at the back, and they've got outstanding wingers there, the Penrith side, but what a player they have waiting in backup there off the back of that performance. He really took it to some of the best players in the world there. I thought, off the back of that performance, they'll probably struggle to keep hold of him as a backup.
He looked awesome, I thought, and like you said, there's no reason why some of these other teams in the NRL aren't going to want him to come along and get involved in a bit of first team footy. And
for sure,
if he is
first grade ready by the looks of that,
he'll be keen to get out there and play a bit more competitive footy, get involved in the first team. So it's a name to look out for, and it's a name that a lot of Fijian fans will be pretty excited for over the next few years, I can imagine.
Oh yeah, he'll be a superstar there to compete with the likes of James Tedesco and Joey Manu and all these other gun fullbacks that we've seen throughout the World Cup. But I guess summing up that game against Fiji, I think, look, if we can click a little bit more on attack, we're looking alright. We're relying probably a little bit too much on individual brilliance there, rather than really nice, smooth set plays that are ripping apart opposition defences. If we can get that, and we make sure that we're a bit more disciplined, defend really well against Aussie, make them earn their own chances rather than giving them easy penalties and 6 agains, we could be a good shout. We'll look to preview that one later, but there's a couple of things, like we said, still to improve on for the Kiwis, but like I said with the girls, it doesn't matter that how you make the semi or how you make the final, it's just that you make the final. So we've made it through to the semi. If we can make it through to the grand final, it doesn't matter what way we do it.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's definitely like a few things that need to be improved on, a few changes that possibly need to be made, and I think one of the big things there definitely is the penalties. I spoke about it a little bit last week in terms of the kicking game and the goal kicking stats, and I think if we give away a few too many penalties, especially in positions where they can hurt us, they'll get us. Could get us in terms of the penalties, and also just in terms of those penalties in their half. Their kicking game, from hand is unreal. They get a big boot on and get an extra 40 metres on us.
Give the ball to Matty Burton, he'll peel off bloody 80 against us. I don't know if he'll be playing, but if he is,
he's capable of doing it.
Cleary's got a big boot on him.
So, it's one of those things where they put themselves into a position where they can, come away with an extra 30, 40 metres and, pressure these Kiwi forwards and try and tire them out. And we could be in for a bit of a shock. But, a few changes to be made, I think, that's for sure. But a win's a win. We look on to the semi-final. As do the Australians, who... I guess come away with a bit of an expected win there up against Lebanon.
Yeah, look, nothing against Lebanon. They've played some really good footy at stages during the World Cup, but this one you probably expected it at the end of the day there. But pretty hectic from Aussie, especially Addo Carr there, scoring 5. You had said last week, do you reckon he can overtake Dom Young or Louis Senior? Obviously Louis Senior's out of the tourney now, so of course Addo Carr's got more of a chance, but yeah, can he overtake Dom Young? But he's gone and scored 5. Looks like he's in a very, very strong position to finish at the top of the try scoring charts.
Yeah, I was just trying to get a little look up there. I think that must put him on to
11?
I would say 11, yeah.
Because what, he had 6 and 2 last game?
Something like that, but yeah, I'd say pretty much of a shoe-in there now for top try scorer, 5 tries. It's something you got to come away from the game. They're pretty happy if you can come away with 5 tries. And yeah, it's no discredit to Lebanon. I think they can be pretty stoked with how their World Cup campaign has gone, to be fair. Making the knockout stages, a couple of pretty good wins in the group stages there, and a chance to come up against 2 of the best teams, in New Zealand and Australia. A few of their standouts obviously get to play against that calibre of players week in, week out in the NRL, but for a lot of these players, they're going to gain a heap of experience from it. So I think, they can come away from the World Cup with their heads held high. Like I said, get them to play Aussie and New Zealand. A few of these players out there probably never thought they'd get a chance to come up against some of these blokes that they did.
Exactly. Like you said, some good experience for some of those less household names in the Lebanese squad there. But look, I must say, on the Roos, they do look very dangerous in hand, but I do think, just like us, they maybe do have a little bit of room for improvement, and that's a good sign for us if they're maybe there is an error or two in their game. And I saw, a few errors from Cleary there. He was missing a few goals, wasn't quite making the distance, and booted one out on the full. So, Nathan, more of that against the Kiwis, please. Miss some goals, kick it out on the full, couple of errors. Thank you very much. Just what the doctor ordered, I'd say.
Yeah, if we can have a little bit of that in the semi-final, it'd be good. Good to see for the Kiwi fans at least. But yeah, I think Aussie obviously we possibly, I don't want to say worried, but maybe feeling like they haven't had the opportunity yet to get themselves into first gear, out of first gear. Sorry, they haven't had any too big challenges throughout the World Cup so far, and this will be their biggest test. So maybe that's one thing that Kiwis can be happy about. But for Aussie, it's if they can continue to score more points than the other team, the way that they're doing it, then I think they'll be looking forward to this weekend up against the Kiwis, and hoping to possibly, if that's the case, outscore us. But I guess we take a little look at England PNG then, and another game there that sort of ended up being a bit of a big win for one team, with the Poms taking the win there.
Yeah, big win for the Poms in this one. I think perhaps a mixture of a couple of things. Were the Poms maybe a bit too strong on the night? Were PNG maybe not up to their usual standards from this year? I think it's probably a mixture of both, but I must say England really went out there and took away the one thing I think that most fans expected from PNG there. They really dominated the contact up against them and monstered them really up against a PNG side known for doing that over the last couple of games really. Probably expected this one to be a bit closer, but well done to England.
Yeah, I kind of thought the same, to be fair. I thought PNG might have put up a little bit more of a fight. Obviously you got to give England the credit. They got the big win there, and I thought they played really well, to be fair. Probably a little bit too strong on the day for PNG, and but I have to say I did think it would be a little bit closer in this one. I didn't think it was going to be such a blowout score. Especially you look at some of these forwards there, that PNG squad that they've got there. I thought they might have had a little bit more energy on the go forward. Possibly maybe tired after maybe a slightly tougher pool for them. It was obviously a pool that was sort of a little bit open wide there as to who could have ended up going through. But I think they could be pretty, again, like leaving on pretty happy with how their World Cup's gone, and managing to get through there into the knockout stages. I think they'll be pretty stoked.
Yeah, good on them. I'm sure they will be stoked with how the group went. A couple of good wins, and really took Tonga right to the final moments there in that game. But yeah, I think they'll be disappointed internally with that one up against the English. But look, what a tournament the English have had so far. Again, we'll get into this one a bit later, but surely a lot of people will be having them as their favourites for next week to make it through to the grand final.
Yeah, I mean, we've sort of spoke about it each week, how how good they've been looking, and is it maybe a case of them sort of continuing to get better and better each week as it comes? They've managed to deal with, I guess, the pressure of playing in front of the home crowd. Maybe could have been a deciding factor either way, and it looks to have been a help rather than a hindrance. They haven't, like I said, fallen to the pressure there, and they've had some really good games where they've piled on the points. Yes, up against lesser oppositions, but they've, like you said, they've probably are a lot of people's favourites now to make their way into the grand final, with a rematch coming up next week. I think, it's been a pretty good tournament for England. There's been some standout performances. A couple of players, probably who have maybe had a bit of a breakthrough here at the World Cup. When you look at, we've said a few times that our knowledge of the Super League isn't that great. But I know that Wellesby, he's had a couple of awesome games. He's only young, and I'm sure there'll probably be a couple of NRL teams that would be looking at him. He's shown what he can do there on the international stage, and I think he'd probably do a pretty handy job down here in the NRL.
Yeah, for sure. There's a number of players in that England squad that a lot of NRL coaches would be very, very keen to get their signatures. And yeah, if any of them do have any dreams of coming down under to take on the toughest competition in the NRL, I'm sure off the back of this World Cup there'll be coaches lining up to sign some of those key players up. Like you said, Wellesby is one of them. But yeah, enough on the Poms for now. We get on to their opponents for next week, which was settled off the back of Tonga up against Samoa. And
The game of the round, you got to say.
what a game.
Game of the round.
It started from before kickoff with one of the most, I mentioned it earlier, one of the most intense pre-game rituals. I don't want to call it haka because it's probably not called haka in their culture, but yeah, it was insane. Like, did you see it? The way they both went at each other and they were answering each other and responding. It's like you said. You were saying it should have been the grand final. It could have been the game of the tournament. It certainly is so far.
Yeah, like I said, I've said it for a wee while. I was keen for it to be the final, and obviously we got to see it there at some stage. We got to see it in the quarterfinals, and game of the tournament so far. I think I've got to agree with that call, and probably goes the way I didn't see it going. Samoa coming away off the win. Threw me off a little bit. I thought probably Tonga maybe coming away a little bit too strong. Samoa had that shaky start there to the World Cup, obviously up against England, but maybe you could say the same there against Tonga. You just said earlier about PNG taking them close there in that game. That was their first game of the group stages, and I gotta say I was leaning towards Tonga in this one, but game of the tournament, like you said, and it has set Samoa up for a bit of a replay, a bit of a shot at redemption up against the English.
Yeah, look, I think in this one the error count might have been a little bit skewed, in that Tonga had a fair few more errors. So on another day, they might have hoped for a few more balls to stick, such as what happened with them a few days earlier with their big 92-0 win, or 92-10, win over the Cookies. But look, this was an awesome game. It ebbed and flowed. The end of the day, it was settled by, unfortunately, young Katoa missing a kick from the sideline. Ended up just being the difference on the scoreboard with 3 tries and a penalty goal each. But look, some outstanding performances in this one from both forward packs and some of the outside backs. Look, I thought Taumalolo was insane. To'a was awesome. Bolo was awesome. AFB, Big Ben Murdoch-Masila had himself an outstanding game off the bench for Tonga there. Keon Koloamatangi was insane. But if there was maybe a slight edge on the night, I know you said before, it was probably Samoa's spine, particularly Luai, Milford and Suali'i. Those three there, they were all brilliant on the night, and probably ended up, being the difference, metaphorically, apart from that goal kick that I just mentioned.
Yeah, I think I've got to agree there. You know, we said it a few weeks ago that you look at the sides. Is that possibly the difference? We think it possibly is. They've got a bit of a spine going on there somewhat. In comparison to Tonga, who possibly maybe have a little bit more brute power, a little bit more X factor, a little bit more force behind them. But like you look at that halves pairing there for Samoa and Luai and Milford, and
there's grand final experience, there's state of origin experience,
and then Sirali, who is the man of the moment, the hot property, sort of
future poster boy.
The future poster boy of the NRL, and if we can keep hold of him in rugby league and he doesn't swindle away over to the ugly cousin, then we might be all right. But it's you look at that spine, and I think that probably was the difference in the day. And can they show up again next week? Can they get a little bit of redemption? Like I said, up against the English, they put in a pretty poor showing in that first game there up against England, and I really think they'll be looking to bounce back and put in a real decent performance and make it tough for England, and hopefully make it a cracker for all the fans to watch.
Yeah, I think the form, particularly of that Samoan spine, will be a big factor in the rematch up against England. I think it'll be definitely a lot closer than their previous outing. But before, I suppose, we get into that one in a bit more depth, shall we preview our boys up against the Kangaroos?
Yeah.
What a semi-final that is teeing up to be.
The lads have obviously, they've made it there, they've made it to the semi-finals now. Something I didn't know, you've got down here that we're off to the Emirates for the semi-finals. Now, I had no clue of that we were playing at the Emirates, so it's bloody cool, I think, to see rugby league there at the home of the Arsenal. I was saying here before, it'd be bloody cool to see a couple of the Gooners out there at a game. We play Wolves the day afterwards, so maybe it's a nice easy night the night before, get along and watch a little bit of rugby league. I know that Rob Holding's a big American football fan, so there's a chance that maybe a few of those English lads might be into the rugby league.
Yeah, look, home of the Arsenal. Maybe if we see a few Arsenal players during the coverage, will that be a good omen for us Kiwis, Arsenal fans? Who knows? I'm sure there'll be plenty of Aussies saying the same thing, plenty of Australian Gooners. But yeah, it'd be cool to see if there's any Arsenal players that come along, and hopefully the Kiwis and the Kangaroos enjoy the experience of playing at the home of the Arsenal there. They've obviously played in bigger stadiums, with a core stadium in ANZ with bigger capacity, but obviously known around footballing circles as being a very, very nice stadium. So hopefully the lads enjoy it and get a good win for us and for the Arsenal. But into the footy, I suppose.
It's a worrying game.
I think this one, it's very nerve-wracking as a Kiwis fan. You never like to come up against the Kangaroos. I think, look, based on my history, 7 or 8 times out of 10, they completely dick us. Those other couple are usually pretty close, and we usually only snag one of them. So, look, if we start like we did up against Fiji, we'll be in huge trouble in this one. Way too many penalties and 6 agains, and you do that up against, no offence to Fiji, but this Kangaroo side, probably looking at the best side in terms of superstar talent in World Rugby League, we'll be fucked if we do that up against them.
100%. Like I said before, it's a worrying game. It's a game as a Kiwis fan that you don't look forward to. I don't think we've looked too flash throughout the tournament as such. And I think when you're coming up against Aussie, you want to be coming in looking flash. You want to be having played your best footy. You want to be feeling like you're up for a big game. And you want to be feeling like you're going out there and knowing that you're at your best. I think the Kiwi lads will be knowing that they haven't reached the top yet. We've been speaking about it for a few weeks. It's all about that ascent and the timing that ascent at the right time. Have we timed it correctly? We'll be waiting to see. Hopefully we have. Now, we say that maybe the Kiwis haven't been too flashy looking at Aussie. Possibly also not the flashiest World Cup. They've obviously won all their games and they've been pretty clinical at that, but have they had the big test yet? Possibly not. Now, as it's one of those games, I think as a Kiwis fan, you probably aren't going to be as excited for it as you may have thought you would have been going into the tournament. You've got a pretty solid looking Kiwi squad there, and at the start of the World Cup, I was thinking that we were going to be pushing on and hopefully cracking into some grand final footy. Now, up against the Aussies, it's going to be a tough one, and to have one of these two teams miss out, it's going to be big. So I'm thinking this is going to be a banger of a game, but it's going to be a worrying one, that's for sure.
Exactly. Very worrying. Like you said, the Roos have certainly been clinical, but when you think about it, they have been putting sides of lesser quality to the sword. No offence to them, but the Kiwis, yeah, like you said, looking like an awesome side of footballers there, just yet to sort of click as a unit. And yeah, the Roos have certainly had a couple of similar complaints, I think, from the Australian media. Some really good individual performances, but yet to really see a good team performance. So yeah, I think like this one, it's going to be a battle of who can execute the game plan, and who's more disciplined and comes away with the least errors on the day, because it's such a good matchup. And look, we're always nervous as Kiwis fans going up against the Roos, but I'm sure there'll be an internal belief with this Kiwi side that they know they're the best side we've put together in a number of years. So hopefully they can rise to the challenge and take it to the Aussies and reach that peak of our form, because I think we'll need it. If we can both bring our best, it's teeing up to be a very, very, very close game. I think it'll come down to maybe a moment or two, a magic moment from the likes of, for us, Manu, Hughesy, for them, maybe Trell, Adokar, Nathan Cleary. Who knows? There's going to be 34, 36 if you involve the 18th men. Guns involved in this one. So
Exactly.
Who knows who's going to make the difference to make that grand final next week?
Plenty of talent on the field, plenty of talent to pick from, and plenty of talent out there who are capable of getting their team over the line and into the grand final. I've got to agree. A couple of those players there that you said, Manu and Hughesy, I'm hoping that Hughesy can put in a big performance, and the forwards can also put in a big shift, give them a little bit of room in there to get a little bit silky. We may be all right, but I think like you said, if both teams can bring their A game, we're up for a pretty close one. Have you managed to find any value? Have you gone value? Have you gone all out? What way have you gone?
Look, we were discussing this one before the show, and we're both coming to you this week with a united front, shall we say. A united front on behalf of all New Zealanders. We're not going to get too cocky with this one. We're not going to go for any big wins. We're just going to lock it in that the Kiwis are going to win in a nice tight affair. 1-12. It's paying you $5. If you think you can pick a try scorer, go for it. Get yourself a bit of extra value, but Kiwis 1-12. You got to do it. You got to do it. What's your thinking behind this one?
Yeah, I've got to say, we had a bit of money in the kit. I wanted to try and continue it going. I wanted to try and keep the ball rolling. Now, my head says, it's so hard to say, but my head says to back Aussie in this one. But you've always got to go with the heart. I think it's going to be tough. I think we know the quality that both sides have out there. It's going to be a tough game, but I'm going for the Kiwis. It's a first for us, going for the exact same bit here. But we've gone for the Kiwis. We've said it's going to be close. We've gone for a close one. Kiwis 1-12. $5. I'm hoping it can come up for us. And if it does, we can continue to build and continue to move on, and hopefully pull off another few bets in there for you.
Absolutely. Come on, lads. Bring it home. If you can win 13 plus, great. That'll make great viewing for us as New Zealand fans, but we're thinking realistically here. 1-12. Come on, the lads. On to the other semi-final, shall we?
Yeah, I guess we've already spoken a little bit about it and having a look at both teams there, but it's a rematch of the opening game. It's a chance for a little bit of redemption there for Samoa after getting absolutely thumped first time round. Possibly a bit of a shock, I'd say, to most league fans out there who are thinking that Samoa are going to be up there challenging with the rest of these top nations, but they've made it through to the semi-finals. They're here, and they'll be coming in probably feeling pretty confident after a really good win.
Exactly. This one should be a really good game. I think English fans might be pretty confident in this one, and Samoan fans might be pretty nervous based on that 66 drubbing in that opening fixture there, but like you said, I don't think it's going to go like that one. Samoa will be a lot better off having gone through that tough fixture up against the Tongans there, maybe compared to the English, who haven't really had a period under the pump yet. Look, it is a sign of their quality as a side, but I suppose if you don't ever get to test yourself, and then you do come up against a side that is maybe just as good, if not close to your level, particularly on their day, you never know if you're prepared until it comes, and Samoa will know they're prepared and they can get in a tight game and come out trumps. But England, they're yet to get in a real arm wrestle of a game, so hopefully for Samoa's sake they can make this one a lot closer. I mean, the English are certainly my favourites in this one, but will they be ready if Samoa do bring their A game in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those games that it's got the opportunity for both sides there to come away with the win. Like you said, we haven't seen England under the pump necessarily as of yet. Obviously, in the first game, there was probably the more likely result was to see a game where they were put under the pump by Samoa, and maybe it was the occasion, maybe it was the hype, who knows what it was, but they were blown out of the park. And I think redemption is going to play a big part in this. I think Samoa are going to be really up for this one. Like you said, they're coming in better form. They're coming in off a nice win there against Tonga. Do I think it's going to be enough to get them over the line? Possibly not. I think I'm probably leaning towards the English in this one, I'd say. I think they probably still have a little bit too much quality, and this could be the time where these fans really kick in, and hopefully for the English they get them over the line.
Yeah, me too. I do think I'm going to have to tip the English to get the job done, particularly with that home advantage. They're looking awesome all over the park, really, the English. And yeah, they'll be super fired up with a home grand final on the line. I'm presuming that's at Wembley. You'll have to Dior on that, but yeah, with that on the line, I'm tipping they can probably overcome the Samoans for a second time in the tournament. But look, Samoa have definitely looked a lot better since that opening day fixture, and they've continued to improve each and every game. Their combinations are starting to look very, very nice, particularly in the halves there with Luai and Milford. But then you've got other players running riot for them: Suali'i, Crichton, To'o, May. They're all running for huge meters, and a few others looking in very good form for them. But a big one, Junior Paulo, he's been banned for a game. He's got the chance to dispute it, I believe, but I don't know if those ever sort of get overturned. So it'll be a huge one for Samoa to overcome the English without their leader, their big man leading from the front there. But they have been playing a lot better footy, but yeah, like you said, it's going to be hard to go past the English in this one.
Yeah, it's a huge loss there, I think, for Samoa, missing Paulo. We know the quality that he brings to a team, and you know, seeing him play there for Samoa, the pride that he has and the passion that he brings, it's going to be a huge loss. And yeah, if he can possibly dispute it and get in there, then that would be obviously good for Samoa there. But I don't know. What are you thinking the likelihood of that is?
Look, I don't think it's very likely. Stranger things have happened. We said it a couple of weeks ago, but look,
I think we got to go for the English here. I think it's tough. It is tough, and it's hard to go past our Pacifica neighbours here. But I'm thinking
I'll definitely be supporting the Samoans in this one. I do want them to win. But yeah, it's hard to go past the English. They've looked so good, haven't they?
Yeah, I think we're possibly. I don't want. The head is saying that we may be seeing a Aussie England final. My heart is telling me that we're going to be teeing up a battle of the Pacific. The Kiwis up against Samoa. How good would it be to see? We'd love it. But I think we're probably, it's hard to go past England. Probably, I guess that wraps us up in terms of the rugby league for this week. We will be getting at you next week with a bit of a preview of the final, of the big one. But I guess we get into a little bit of the arts, a little bit of the goodness, shall we?
Absolutely. Starting off with a review of our game up against Zurich. A bit more of the old 1-0 to the Arsenal.
Yeah, how good. I mean, it's obviously a good result there in the end, when you look at the way we get the 3 points, but possibly not the flashes of games for us. Bit of a weird one, this one. I watched the game actually at school. I was on release and I was doing a few bits and pieces, and I actually watched the game through BBC text updates. Now, not the best way to watch a game, but still enjoyable nonetheless. Seemed like we put in a pretty good shift in that first half. Obviously coming away there with a goal from Kieran Tierney, and yeah, looked like he loved that goal as well. Really good to see the passion that he had there.
Yeah, Like you said, not too bad of a result in the end. Probably wasn't across the 90 the most convincing of performances, but yeah, like you said, a good first half, all topped off by an awesome strike from Tierney to seal, the 3 points. A great little volley, or half volley, whatever you want to call it there, outside of the box, and yeah, great strike, and good to see Al Nini and Zinchenko back from their injuries in this one.
Yeah, a couple of players there coming back. Yeah, always good to see Al Nini getting a run out there, and it's awesome to see Zinchenko back. He obviously made a pretty good impact there when he's first arrived, so it's nice to see them back. Yeah, so not the best, not the worst. Sorry, first half there, but then it looked like that sort of as we neared the end of the game, looked like we were trying to let them get a chance. Obviously, we'd seen by that stage that PSV were ahead, and that if we didn't get a win, we'd be dropping into those playoff stages, and it looked like we were, trying to let them equalise.
Yeah, look, to be fair, they did have a fair few chances there, particularly near the end. A heartbreaking 90th or 85th plus minute equaliser. We were definitely camped in our own half towards the end there, but look, the important thing is, in the end, the net wasn't rippled, apart from maybe, I think they scored an offside goal, but he was well offside, so yeah, clean sheet in the end for Ramsdale, and top of the group, and yeah, like you said, avoiding that round of 32 clash in the Europa League by coming second, and straight through to the round of 16, avoiding what could have been a hectic matchup there.
A couple of hectic games that have been drawn there.
For now, we avoid those hectic teams.
Exactly. Yes. We could still get them in the next round, but a couple of gnarly matchups. You've got Barca versus United, so it'd be nice to see one of those two teams missing out early on. But it could have been gnarly there. But put us in good stead, I guess, for our trip back to the Premier League and a big game up against one of our rivals, up against Chelsea, and a team that I despise, and a team that I love to get away with a result with. And we did a repeat, another 1-0 to the Arsenal.
Exactly. Nothing better than going back to the top of the table with an awesome performance by going and beating one of your rivals. And like you said, Chelsea, they're one of the clubs that we hate. I know they're probably the club you hate the most. Most Arsenal fans probably lean towards Tottenham, but in all honesty, what have Tottenham taken from us apart from the odd couple of points? But yeah, Chelsea went through a good phase of stealing our league titles and FA Cups and Champions Leagues when we thought we might win a few. But 3 years in a row, we've gone to the bridge, we've picked up the win. Like you said, the good old 1-0 to the Arsenal reigns supreme again. I thought it was a very good performance and a comfortable win in the end.
Yeah, now I was a little bit disappointed, I got to say. With the timing of the game, I wasn't able to watch it live. Now I got a couple of boys in my class who are pretty footy mad, and one who even he rocks the full kit, sometimes full Arsenal kit, which is cool to see. And as soon as they arrived, they came straight bounding in and let me know the result. I've managed to nicely ask them to check whether or not I've seen the game first. But when you get news like that, you get the news that it was a win. It's not bad news to receive. Now, looked like we were. I've seen the highlights now. It looked like we were pretty solid in this one. Obviously, bit of a sketchy goal, bit of an unusual goal possibly. But I think the main talking point of this game's got to be the defence.
Yeah, the best part of our game probably was defensively in this one. We were superb across the back four. Zinchenko brilliantly slotting into the side on his return from injury, and slots into that midfield role to allow Xhaka to press forward, it's just an awesome sort of dynamic in the team. Gabriel, well done. Bit of a jammy goal for him. But yeah, I think the two standout performers for Arsenal on the day, Ben White and William Saliba. I know William Saliba got man of the match in this one, but what a player we have on our hands with William Saliba and Ben White. After one or two question marks early on last season, after we signed him for 50 million and our 3 opening defeats, he's looking like a bargain for 50 million. Some of the performances we're getting out of him this season, and the versatility he offers, able to slot in it on the right side of a defence or at right back, even in the midfield. I'm sure you could chuck him on the left side of the defence and he'd be just as sweet. And yeah, another awesome game from the midfield three, I thought, as well. Xhaka was awesome. Partey was outstanding. I think this was one of his best performances in an Arsenal shirt. And Odegaard, while he might not have been as fluent as Arsenal fans expect on attack, he really put in a really good shift defensively, and those three helped us dominate the play for a good 80% of that game there.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you need in a game like that. You need to be able to dominate the play up, and up against a team like Chelsea. And to come away with a clean sheet. Like you said, what a player we've got on our hands with Saliba. He's looking unreal, and obviously a lot of Arsenal fans probably disappointed that this is the first chance we've got to see him this year. But it looked like it could have been the right play, get him out on loan and give him that experience. And he's come back and he's looking like an awesome player. Or even better, kept Orby quiet.
Yep.
Didn't want to touch on it too much, but you've got to chuck it in there. It's nice to see that we kept him quiet, and I know that he was looked like it was planned before the goal went in, but subbed off right as the goal goes in. So it's nice to see that we kept him quiet, and there's no team I like to beat more than Chelsea. So I'm pretty bloody happy to come away with the result here.
Absolutely. Bit of a jammy goal in the end, like I said, but we definitely deserved to win that one. I thought, definitely could have had one or two more. Jesus again, very, very unlucky. I don't know if you saw the chance he missed he was putting up that to Martinelli after he just missed the ball. Commentators were saying he should have got there, but I thought it was he probably should have got there, but it was a tough one to get to. The ball was always spinning away from him, but they'll say that his form in front of goal continues without scoring, but look, he brought so much to this game, and he was terrorising those Chelsea defenders for good stages of the game, and Saka as well. He was giving Cucurella a very, very tough time of things. I thought it was excellent. Like I said, on we go. One more game to go to make sure that we can go to that mid-season World Cup break, top of the table. Into Christmas, top of the table. Let's go the Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. One more game to go. But before we get into that game, we do have a little bit of a return, a first foray into the Carabao Cup for us for this season, and I think it's our last game at the Emirates, I believe, before the break. I believe it's a home game up against Brighton. It's a team who have been playing some pretty nice footy this year, up in the right half of the table. They've had an unsettled season, obviously, having Potter leave for Chelsea, but looks like De Zerbi seems to have settled in a little bit now, obviously sort of starting after that big win they had up against Chelsea. And obviously up against Potter, so managing to get the win there against them. I think it's going to be it's an interesting one. You never really know up in a game like this in the Carabao Cup. You don't know what side's going to be put out there, and it can be a tricky one sometimes.
Exactly. Brighton have been a very, very good side this year. They've shown they've been tough to beat so far. Like you said, they've beaten Chelsea, not only beaten them, but completely put them to the sword there in that one with a comprehensive 4-1 win. And I believe they also beat United earlier in the season. So yeah,
and
there
drew
you go.
with Liverpool, I believe, as well. So
They love coming up against a big six side, based on their recent form. So yeah, whether we do see a bit of rotation maybe for both sides.
I mean, the Brighton fans, possibly, if you're listening out there, you might be a bit disappointed with what Sam's just said there in terms of big six. Currently sitting sixth in the table themselves, so their own goal difference equal with Chelsea. But you look at the season that they're having, it's definitely got a match up written all over it. I think it's going to be a tough one for the Arse, but depends. Like we've said, which team gets put up there? Do we see a little bit of rotation possibly? I can imagine so.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Will it be a case of whose second team is stronger, or maybe does De Zerbi pull the wool over Arteta's eyes and name his strong lineup, or does Arteta do that to De Zerbi there? At the end of the day, you'd like to hope it was Arsenal with the stronger second team there, with the finances and history and pedigree available to the Arse in this one. But look, I'm sure Brighton have some quality players waiting in their wings, ready to get some game time and show that they can hack it up against an Arsenal side that wants to push maybe for a few more Premier League minutes, a few more of those knockout stage Europa League minutes, and as we hopefully progress further and further into maybe the EFL Cup or the FA Cup, should be a good matchup all round, I think. It'd be nice to come home from the World Cup and still be involved in 4 competitions.
Oh, it would be lovely. So we'll be crossing our fingers that we can come away with a win here. Hopefully nothing to do with penalties at the end of the day. We know that the EFL Cup goes to penalties at the end there. So to save us, to save our hearts. Hopefully no penalties. Hopefully we can get the job done in the 90 minutes. But I think you've got to be leaning towards the Arse in this one. I think we can come away with a good win, and it's a good opportunity for a few of those players, like you said, who are pushing for some extra minutes to get a chance to show Arteta that they're up to the challenge.
Absolutely. I know Eddie loves himself an EFL Cup game. He's got a wicked record of goal scoring in that competition. So yeah, look, there were no goal scorers when I looked on Ned's before, so I don't have any tips for you on this one. We might look to upload something a bit later if we find something that strikes us of being a bit of particular value. So stay tuned. We may post that up on our story or up as a post. Stay tuned. But yeah, did you manage to find anything? Or
I haven't as yet. I'm the same as you. We're sort of waiting to have a look. So if we do, we'll give you a little post. We'll give you a heads up, and hopefully find you a little bit of money in a new tournament for us for this season. I guess we crack on into now the last game of the Premier League before we take our break for the World Cup, and up against Wolves, who probably in a position that they didn't expect to find themselves in the battle there of relegation. Welcoming in a new manager, and Julian, I'm gonna butcher this name here, Lopetegui, I want to say. he's an experienced manager. He's managed quite a few big teams. Obviously, he's been there at Real Madrid, and he's looking like he's been given the challenge here of trying to turn Wolves' season around. Hoping, for our sake, that it's not just yet. Hopefully, we can come away with another win, and I believe that if we can lock in that 3 points, we will be having a nice, enjoyable World Cup period, sitting there at the top of the table.
Absolutely. Look, if we play anything like we've been playing in the recent games this year in general, I don't see this one posing too much issues based on the form lines. Like you said, Wolves finding themselves in a position they might not have expected themselves in, having been quite a decent side in recent years. Certainly up pushing at certain stages, maybe in top 4 battles, but they've been involved in European football, so maybe this year and last as well, they've possibly slipped a little bit compared to their recent lofty standards. But look, any sort of flat performance from the Gunners, and they've got enough quality in their side to certainly make it a struggle for us on the day. But it seems like we are coming into a little bit of a form with our performances, rather than maybe just nicking a couple of results here or there. I think the one problem that you could say for Arsenal is we're not putting teams to bed when we should. So yeah, I reckon if we can score a couple before the hour mark, it should be a pretty cruisy one for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those games that's tricky when you're up against a team who's in a battle there for relegation. It's tricky when you're coming up against a team who has a new manager, possibly a new style of play, possibly a few new faces out there involved on the pitch, and it's one maybe that's a little bit different to prepare for. Yeah, I think it's, if we can name mostly a strong team, get out there, get on top of them early on. I'd like to hope we can capitalise on a few chances. And really, when you look at the positions of the table, you look at first up against, I want to say, I believe 18th, they may be in 19th at the moment. It's a game where you are expecting an Arsenal win. In 19th position, they're equal with Nottingham Forest on 10 at the bottom there. So it's been a tough season for Wolves, and you'd expect Arsenal to come away with a solid win here. Now I've got to say I'm leaning towards us. I think we do end up coming away with a win. I think we will probably be a little bit too strong, but I won't be surprised if we do see a little bit more fight from Wolves, and we maybe see a little bit more of what is to come with the new manager at the helm. And I think for the Premier League's sake, hopefully we can see them stick around. It's the Premier League's own little bit of Portugal, so it'd be a shame to see them get relegated. We've seen what they can do in the Premier League, and I think it could be a little bit of possibly what is to come for Wolves, and maybe a little bit of change of fortunes, but not just yet. I think it's going to be tight, but I see us coming away with the win.
Yeah, I do think I agree with that. I can see Arsenal coming away with the win, but you never know if we don't put away our chances as we've been sort of doing in recent games. The game stays at 0-0 for a long period of time, or even if we go down, or even if it is just 1-0, it could be a tough one. Chelsea 0, they both got a nicked a point off us there, so we'll need to be putting teams to bed a bit earlier, otherwise we'll see what happened against Southampton. They'll come back, and look, any team's got the quality on their day. Like you said, Wolves, a little slice of Portugal. On their day, they've torn up just about every side in the Premier League, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, it'll be a tough one, but we'll be hoping to, like we say, go into that break, top of the table. At worst, I believe second, so it's not all doom and gloom, but we'll be hoping to get the job done, and it'll see us through to Christmas as number one position, the arse. So come on, the lads.
Have you managed to find any value here for the punters for this game?
Well, again, no goal scorers, so I couldn't nail down a result in this one. But I've gone general with it. I've gone Arsenal to win by more than one. And when they do come out, I'm just going to roll that into Jesus. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to ride it until he finally breaks the drought. I'm going to back it to happen. I'm hoping he's been named in the Brazil squad.
Yes.
Yeah, well, he's going to break the drought before he goes off for a big World Cup. So yeah, like I said, no goal scorer odds out yet, but keep an eye out. Probably looking at around $4 or $5 there. What about yourself, mate? Have you found some value for the punters?
I've gone a little bit more hefty than previous. I've gone a little bit more than we did last week. Now I'm thinking that Wolves are going to put up a little bit more of a fight in this one. I'm thinking that they will be looking to make a few changes to the way that they're playing, and I think it's going to be a tougher game than expected. So I've gone for Arsenal to get the win, and I've gone for Arsenal to get the win 2-1, and that is paying you $8. So
not too bad.
Not too bad. I think it's definitely it's
worth a nibble.
Nothing out of the ordinary, and it is. It's worth a nibble. So
nothing to turn your nose up at either.
Get yourself involved if you'd like, and hopefully we can get you a little bit of money to end the Premier League season for this first part before we get into World Cup footy, and before we then get back into our second stage where we try and push on and mount a challenge. But probably wraps us up for the footy, I guess, for this week. Shall we have a little dabble in there of the cricket, shall we?
Absolutely. Sounds good. Black Caps. They've played a couple of games since we last spoke. Obviously, that England game was halfway through there. Last time we were recording. Not our best effort with the ball there. And in the field, I suppose, of the tournament. For England to get up to, 179, I believe. They said us 180 to win, so yeah, but look, got to hand it to them. Some good batting from England by the looks of it, and yeah, I mean, I saw a meme today that was pretty good. It said Kane Williamson, he purposely lost to England, knowing that they would get through to the semi-finals and it would knock Aussie out. So if that's the way you want to look at it, that's the way we played this one.
I like the thinking there of whoever's created that meme. It's a good way to look at it. Obviously, yeah, not the best performance there up against the English. A couple of decent performances, and then I think we watched it, and I might have gone home and watched a little bit of the end of our innings.
As soon as you left, Kano and Glenn Phillips,
they were looking alright.
They threatened to get us back into it with another miracle, a la 2021 World Cup when we saw Daryl Mitchell blast us back into the game against the Poms. But yeah, they had a handy partnership once you left. But I went for a shower to get myself ready for bed, and lo and behold, by the time I'd gotten out of the shower, Kane was out, and about 3 balls later, Phillips was out. So yeah, fell about 20 short, I think it was.
I didn't get to see those. I'd fallen asleep by that stage, but I wake up and saw that we'd fallen short. But not the best result, but it didn't dampen the spirits of the lads too much. We got into a game up against the Irish, and it was an interesting one. There was a little bit of everything involved in this game here, wasn't there?
Yeah. Well, if you look at the result, bit of a role reversal from the England game, with us going out and setting that 180 to win for the Irish, and they fell about 20 or 30 short in the end, but there certainly were some nervy moments there, particularly early on in that Irish chase.
That start from Sterling and Balbirnie was pretty unreal.
Yeah, they were definitely in with a sniff there from that start, and yeah, if they managed to kick on for a bit longer, we would have been shaking in our boots as Kiwi fans. But the lads managed to close it out well, and I think a good shout out to Kane for scoring a good 50 there, and at a pretty good clip, 61 off 35.
Yeah, pretty nice to see there from Kane. It's not often we get to see him out there being the man to try and get the runs on the board for us. So it was a pretty good knock from him, and it gave us a good little run chase for the Irish to get onto, because we needed it. Like we said, that opening performance there from Balbirnie and Sterling. I don't know when the first wicket fell. I think it might have been, I want to say the 9th or 10th over. I think Santner bowled an over, got thumped. Then Sodhi bowled an over, got thumped. Then Santner came back in, got a wicket. Then Sodhi came back in and got a wicket. So it was sort of a mixture there, and it was something that was we were a little bit worried, but the lads managed to get the job done in the end. But I guess the highlight of the game,
the biggest shout out of the game.
Yeah, I bloody missed it. I think I must have been shooting home to get my tea or something like that. I went out for something, and bloody came back and you'd said there'd been a hat trick.
Yeah, Josh Little, shout out, picked up a hat trick. I believe it was Mitchell, Neesham, and Santner.
I'm not too
but
sure.
I can't remember who I know it was definitely Neesham and Santner, but I can't remember. Maybe it was Neesham, Santner, and Sodhi, but yeah, it was around that middle order. So good on him. Snag yourself a World Cup hat trick. We speak about it regularly here on the show, National Glory. That's one moment that will glorify himself in the eyes of Irish cricket fans, I'm sure.
100%.
It'll be spoken about for years to come, especially if the Kiwis can go on and win the tournament. Josh Little will be saying, I took a hat trick up against the world champions.
Especially, they also had the opportunity there to get a hat trick earlier on in the World Cup. I'm just having a look now. Where was it? No, that's the wrong. Maybe I am incorrect in saying that. I thought that was, no, apologies. So it was the English that had the opportunity there for the hat trick there up against Ireland. It was, I'm not too sure who it was that was bowling there, but it was Balbirnie and Dockwell that got out. So I was of the thinking that the Irish had already had an opportunity there for a hat trick, but like you said, no, Little he will go down for the folklore of Irish cricket, and he'll be a proud fella to come away with a hat trick there up against the Black Caps. But it didn't do us too much harm. We managed to get the win in the end and set ourselves up for a nice looking semi-final.
Yeah, absolutely. Semi-final 1 to be played on Wednesday evening in Australia, Wednesday night in New Zealand, I suppose, with the couple hours difference. But yeah, due to Aussie not setting the best target up against Afghanistan there, I think I heard the commentators say that was it. We were through. There was no way they could overtake us. They could only overtake England. So, yeah. Made it an easier weekend of watching the other games, but yeah, the lads through to the semi-finals again. How good?
Yeah, awesome to see. It's gonna be a tough one, up against Pakistan. It's good to see us involved in some more knockout competition. We've had the Kiwis there get us into the semis of the rugby league, and now we're seeing the Black Caps get us into the semis for the cricket. How good is that?
Oh, we love it. I can't get enough of it. National glory all over the show. Probably expected it in the rugby league there, but for the Black Caps to do it, it's probably a tougher field of competition. I thought one team on the other side of the draw that definitely looked very dangerous early on, and we were lucky to avoid a matchup with. The South Africans had some dominating wins early on, but since then they lost to the Pakistanis, our opponent, and the Netherlands, caking it up against the Netherlands there.
Shout out to the Netherlands.
Leaving it all open on the final day. I think at one stage it could have been Zimbabwe or Bangladesh to go through, but those doors quickly shut for Zimbabwe, I think, and yeah, Bangladesh didn't set the best target up against the Pakistanis, so yeah, semi-final up against Pakistan. I think if we can get off to a good start, and then yeah, Kane or Glenn Phillips can bat some time throughout the middle, I'm sure we'll be able to chase down any sort of total, unless the Pakistanis have a really good day with the bat, and then yeah, if we bat first, hopefully the lads can get out there and leave enough for our gun bowling lineup to defend, particularly Bolt and Southey, our main men at the start there.
Yeah, now I've actually been sneakily, I don't want to say supporting, but I've sort of been backing the Pakistanis throughout this tournament. It's a bit of a buzzy second team now. I like the way they play. They've got a few awesome players, and there's been some really enjoyable games to watch that they've been involved with throughout this World Cup. Obviously, the game up against India was a huge one. They've was it Iftikhar, I believe, got the biggest six of the tournament so far.
Yeah, it was like 109 metres or something
unreal.
ridiculous. Yeah,
they've had some really awesome moments in their games throughout this World Cup, and I've got to say I'm pretty stoked that we've got to come up against them here in the semi-final. Now, like you said, I think if we can get a good start. Now these Pakistani openers, they've been struggling a bit. The commentators said it in the game the other day, how they've been struggling to get a few runs on the board, and I said to you, look, you wait, once a wicket falls, it's going to be a blessing in disguise here for Pakistan. The runs are going to start coming in, and boom, the two openers dropped, and away they went. They started scoring, and hey, maybe if we can keep them in, no wickets, keep them in, and if they're batting first, they might set a target in the low hundreds, and we can hopefully come away with an easy win. But I think Pakistan will be up for it. It's a semi-final, and they'll be thinking they've got every chance to make it through. I believe, are they one of the top 3 ranked nations in 2020 cricket at the moment?
I wouldn't have a clue, to be honest. Yeah, don't really know the cricket rankings as they stand. But yeah, look, it's a weird one with Pakistan's openers there.
Fourth.
Is it Mohammad Rizwan and Babar
Yeah.
Azam? Obviously, Babar, he's, there are stages there you'd almost put him in that big 3, big 4, alongside Steve Smith, Joe Root, and Virat and Kane Williamson there. But yeah, obviously struggling for a few runs this tournament. Rizwan, obviously a class player, but yeah, I think coming into the tournament he was maybe ranked number 1 T20 batsman in the world. So yeah, it's a bizarre one. I don't want to be too cocky and say, oh yeah, keep them out there for too long, but yeah, if you're going off performances in this tournament, certainly just keep them out there and dot them up. Whether they're confused over what format they're playing, who knows. But yeah, come on the lads. We're getting quite used to getting through to the Cricket World Cup final down in these parts. I think that's the last 3 or 4 editions. Well, the T20 last 3, and then I don't know about T20 World Cups, but yeah, we've been in the last 2 one-day World Cups, getting the job done in the test one there, and obviously fallen short against the Aussies last time up, but is this our time to do it? Second time round in the T20s.
Exactly, we don't have to come up against our old foes in the Aussies, and if we can get the win, we'll be hoping that we can pack it off in the final. And how good would it be to see? But we've got to make our way through Pakistan first, and then if we can do that, we can crack into one of these next 2 teams who will be taking place in the other semi-final. That is England and India, two heavyweights of the game coming up against each other here.
Exactly. Look, this one should be a cracker. Should be a really good game. If we look at recent times, I think at World Cups, our record is probably better against the Indians, but we have managed to get past the Poms in last year's semi-final. So yeah, I think, like you said, either way, if we do get through, up against 2 of the sort of 3 traditional big dogs of the cricketing world, we'll probably be underdogs on the day, particularly with the bookies. But yeah, like I've been saying all tournament long, T20 cricket is probably the most 50-50 sort of anyone can win sort of format. So yeah,
we've definitely seen
either
that.
way, whoever does get up in this one, the Black Caps, yeah, I'll be backing them to go one better.
This World Cup, haven't we? That sort of anyone can win it.
Yeah.
We've had the upsets. We've had we had the West Indies not make it out of the qualifying there at the start, and it's one of these games here where anyone could win this one. England up against India, there's the opportunity for both teams to win. We've seen England put in some very good performances over the World Cup, and we've seen India, the likes of Kohli put it in when it's needed, and I think this is teed up to be a cracker of a semi-final, probably the more enjoyable to watch maybe as a neutral of the 2, I think. And I think regardless of who wins, it's going to be a tough final for whoever makes it through from the other game there.
Yeah, look, you've got on the one side India, Virat Kohli, obviously not leading them, but leading them with his performances so far this World Cup, and then the English, Joss Buttler, plenty of other guns in that side, and then they've got the brute pace of Wood there, bowling in the mid 150s. It's just heat. India themselves, they've got plenty of good bowlers. Mohammad Shami comes to mind. Who knows, maybe even Harshdeep's going to get himself involved with a bit of semi-final action. He's been a little bit of a favourite of mine. I love watching him bowl. Was it Pakistan there? He took a couple of early wickets, and he was looking really good in that one. Ever since that game, I've been loving watching him have a bowl. But yeah, like you said, this one should be a cracker. India up against England. Doesn't get much better for a neutral, like you said.
Yeah, it's teed up to be a corker of a game. It's going to be an awesome way to finish off our semi-finals, and it's like I said, it's going to be a cracker of a team that manages to get themselves into the final. And if we can be there as well, I'll be looking forward to whatever team it is that we come up against. I guess that's probably us in terms of the cricket for this week.
Yeah,
We'll,
just the 2 games to preview there, obviously.
We'll be coming at you next week with a bit of grand final action, and I guess a bit of a grand final special next week.
Yeah, grand final special. Let's hope New Zealand are featuring in 2.
Exactly.
Having just won 1 in the women's rugby.
Exactly.
That would be
awesome to see.
good way to do it rather than none, but yeah.
Now, we introduced a little bit of a new sport over the last few weeks. We've been looking at a little bit of a different round ball and a little bit of a new sport for you. And in terms of the basketball, now we've touched a little bit on the NBA. Now again, we're similar to into I guess the Super League for me. Maybe I'm not a basketball expert, I would say, but I like to dabble in it a little bit. Now, not the flashiest of starts to the season here for the Wizards. We've been a little bit up and down. We're currently sitting at 5 and 6. Absolutely smashed against the Nets the other day, and we've had a couple of good wins. So we're a little bit up and down, but we have plenty of games left in the season. There's lots of ball to be played, so a lot of time to hopefully get a bit of a roll on.
Yeah. Look, my team, the Knicks. Our record, we currently played 1 less game. Currently sitting at 5 and 5. So whether we look to go 1 better or just the exact same as you after 11 games, time will tell. Picking up a good win today. Currently in the 7th spot in the Eastern Conference there. 1 spot above your Washington Wizards there. So yeah, come on the lads, for both of us. Let's just keep picking up the wins if we can, and if we can stay in that playoff hunt, we'll be 2 happy chappies. We'll be continuing to bring you a little update and how they're going, and yeah, hopefully we can, summer holidays around the corner, we can start tuning into a bit more basketball. Avoiding some of the midday heat.
Exactly that. There's a few nice 12 o'clock kickoffs. Tip-offs for us here in New Zealand, and hopefully get involved in a little bit more action. I'm sure if we get a little 12 o'clock tip-off from Knicks versus Wizards, we'll have to get ourselves involved in that, and we'll let you know how it goes. But that's probably us on our brief little touch there on the NBA. I guess looking at the darting world, we had a couple of players' championships over the weekend. Gezzy and James Wade taking out the 2 days to finish off our players' championships for the year, I believe. And before we get into a little bit of a grand slam of darts, taking place over about a week or so, starting up this weekend, which will be awesome to see. Now a bit of a different setup, obviously, with the group stages there, and some pretty tasty looking groups. We've got Peter Wright and Nathan Aspinall there at some stage. We've got Big Dirk up against Rob Cross, and then you've got a pool there with Luke Humphreys, Ryan Searle and Josh Rock. So Humphreys and Rock, bit of a battle of the young bucks that a lot of people are talking about. We obviously got to see them play a few weeks ago, and I think that'll be an awesome matchup there. So plenty of good darts to watch over the next week or so. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping that I haven't had a look as such to when it is being played, but I believe it is being played in the UK. So possibly a couple of late nights over the weekend, but it's always worth it getting to watch a little bit of the darts. It probably wraps us up. I'd say another episode done and dusted.
Another episode done and dusted. I hope you've enjoyed it, listening to it as much as I've enjoyed talking. It's been a great past couple hours sitting here chatting with you. Once again, to the listeners out there, if you've gone and made it this far in the recording. Thanks very much for listening. We appreciate it. Remember to give us a like, a 5-star if you can, and subscribe to the podcast. Go and give us a follow on social media if you want to take in a bit more content. Enjoy the footy. Plenty of semi-final action, whether it's footy or cricket. Enjoy your week ahead, no matter what it entails. And as we always say, if you're having a punt, do it responsibly. And yeah, remember to tune in next week. We'll be here, same time, same place. See you then.
Like he said, enjoy your week ahead. Enjoy your sports. If you're betting, do it responsibly. And most of all, stay safe and stay tuned. And we'll see you there next week. See you.
See you.